right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We do it every night of the week at 412-575-2600. Bob Pompeani here in the Fan Cave. Andrew Fillipponi is up at 93.7 The Fan, and we always have a lot to talk about. But we're going to begin with what just happened, because the Penguins went from complete domination to being completely dominated all within the same game. I did not see Toronto coming back and winning it, but they did.
Well, either did I. I thought a lot of the horrible things that went on Saturday in Toronto with the World Series in Game 7, that there was still some bad juju there in Toronto with so many fans still in depression, down in the dumps and everything else, and it carried over to this game. Not a lot of energy in that building until Toronto came to life in the third period. Look, I still don't think the Penguins are a very good team. I know people are not going to like hearing that, but the odds back that up. A lot of the analytical numbers back that up too. Now, this was the flip of that, where they had a decisive advantage in shots and somehow still lost. But their goaltending has really played above its head so far this year, and credit Jari and Shelovs for doing that. And yeah, you've had Kindle produce, and Malkin got off to a good start, and Brazzers, who's out now, obviously chipped in goal scoring that we didn't see coming. But as far as I'm concerned, this is still a team that is far away from making the playoffs in terms of the roster that they have. And I think we can see it when they play a team like Toronto that can flip a switch there in the third period and basically score 4 goals in 10 minutes. So I hope that this is not the start of a huge descent, but my opinion on the Penguins still has not changed, Bob. I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs before the season started. In one good month, you know what taught me not to overreact to one good month? The Pirates' April a couple of years ago. Derek Shelton got a contract extension. Right. Exactly. 20-8. I got 20-8 and Jack Sawinski hitting home runs, playing over and over again in my head. And that's the equivalent of Justin Brazzers scoring 5 goals in October.
So that's twice now you called him Brazzers. That's interesting. I don't know if that's his nickname or just one of those mistakes that you make because maybe it's a site you've it's a site you've seen before. I don't know. I don't even know what you're talking about. But anyway, I still was encouraged by the first 2 periods, especially after the way they lost to Winnipeg. They came out, and regardless of the circumstances or what was going on in Toronto, they played really good 40 minutes, and then that third had just changed completely. So they're 8-4-2. They'll come home for a couple of games. We'll know more about them as this month goes on. Meanwhile, the Steelers put together their best defensive performance in quite some time yesterday, Andrew. And it started off badly, 7-0. First drive of the game, 13 plays, 79 yards. Boom, you're thinking, oh, that's not good to start, but then a big play by T.J. Watt. And it's almost like what we saw tonight in Toronto. That opened up the floodgates. Things changed dramatically, and suddenly the Steelers were in total control of that game, and they needed it badly.
Well, I think Jalen Ramsey playing free safety was kind of a calming effect on the defense because he could set the defense. You knew where he was going to be. He wasn't moving all around, which Mike Tomlin said at the beginning of the year was going to be something that made the Steelers' defense great, that he was going to be a queen on the chessboard. Well, with injuries, they simplified that, and I think it helped. We saw really the edge rushers take over in this game. T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith. I mean, Peyton Wilson, not an edge rusher, but an inside guy that probably had the game of his life. 14 tackles, interception, batted ball that turns into an interception. And they did it against a Colts offense that was averaging over 30 points per game. They held Jonathan Taylor to 45 yards. They picked off Daniel Jones 3 times, more interceptions than he had thrown the entire year combined. They held Tyler Warren in check. I mean, they basically did. If you had a list of things defensively you wanted the Steelers to achieve in this game, they checked off everything. And for a defense that was in kind of dire straits, that was a big gut check game for them, and proof, Bob, that at times they can be, as advertised, worth $160 million.
We'll go to break, but on this note, you see our KDK.com/connect poll of the night brought to you by Penn West University. Will the Steelers make a big trade before the 4 p.m. trade deadline tomorrow? We'll talk about that, and we'll get your opinions. Call us at 412-575-2600. We're just getting started. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here on KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. All right, this is our Xfinity tweet of the night from Jen Bolano originally, Penguins PR. Goals from Ben Kindle, 2 tonight, gives him 5. Goals from the other 223 players in the 2025 NHL draft class, just 6. His 2 goals mark the first multi-goal game by a Penguins teenager since Oli Mata. He almost had a hat trick in this game as well. He was on the power play going right in front of the net. That's why I say he reminds me of Jay Kensel. All right, let's talk a little bit about what lies ahead, because that is a Charger team that is 6-3. However, they've lost both of their tackles, Andrew. And when you lose both of your tackles, that's not an easy thing to do, especially those are 2 young, pretty good players. So how do they go about stopping the edge rushers? I got to imagine they're going to chip. They're going to bring in extra personnel. If they do that, they're kind of playing in the hands of the Steelers in terms of, you're taking away their own strength, which is, I think, passing the football.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of ways to go with it. I mean, they could go with the Green Bay Cincinnati approach, which is throw the ball quickly, get it out fast. Jim Harbaugh's no dummy. He played quarterback in the NFL. I'm sure he's looking at the tape of the last 3 or 4 games, and he's seeing what worked and didn't. That's what I would do if I were him. And it's not like they don't have, guys to throw the football to. Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen's had a really strong fountain of youth type season there. Oronde Gadsden from Syracuse, a rookie tight end, has been awesome for the Chargers. Not quite Tyler Warren, but also lately he's producing like that kind of tight end, and we saw it crafted 2 weeks ago. So the ingredients are there offensively, and obviously with Herbert as the trigger man, but you're right. I mean, if they want him to stand back there for 3 seconds and scan the field, I don't think he's going to get that time with both Slater and All out for the season and backups occupying positions where they've got to block Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. It's a Sunday night game and a big one, because if they win that one, they come home to the Bengals, and you would think that they play a lot better defensively against Flacco and company, although this Cincinnati defense is just brutal. We saw that yesterday. Let's get to the phone lines, Andrew, at 412-575-2600. Bradley in Greensburg is our number 1 Cochrane Go One Better caller of this night. Hello, Bradley.
Hello, Bob. How are you?
Good, thanks. What's up?
I have a question and a comment about the Steelers game. Since the Steelers got Scantling, or do you think they'll go out and get another wide receiver, or do you think they'll stick with Scantling? And my comment is, I believe that the Steelers defense keeps playing the way they are. I believe they'll go far in the playoffs. What do you think?
Well, it has to be consistent. That's the whole thing, Brad. If they're not consistent, then you get, the kind of performance you saw prior to this, which were 2 dogs. As far as, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, he has a history with Aaron Rodgers. He's on the practice squad. I think that's important to note. He's not, and unless they pull him off there, they're still going to go with what they have. Can they make another move? I don't know if they will when it comes to wide receiver. I think they might look at secondary help if someone becomes available. Andrew, how do you look at it?
Well, they better look at wide receiver help behind MVS, because I think DK Metcalf is hurt by the fact that there's no other strong wide receiver threat on the field. He only had 6 yards yesterday. He had another drop. Calvin Austin, I think, is a very good number 3 wide receiver, and he made some, I think, clutch catches yesterday, but his production is not something that really gives you peace of mind and makes you feel like you've got a really solid complement to Metcalf. Roman Wilson, I think, should be in the doghouse now. That was one of the dumbest things I've seen really since the Caleb Johnson play against Seattle, where he's trying to hurdle a guy to, end up on NFL primetime to be on a highlight package with you? I mean, how about we do the smart thing and not try to make a name for yourself there at the end of the game? And I think that Aaron Rodgers has got a real low tolerance for that. He doesn't really suffer fools very well. Scotty Miller's got a broken finger. So I don't know what, that's problematic when your job is to catch a football. So I would think MVS has an opportunity here, but the point I'm trying to make is, Bob, I think they need wide receiver help. Last year, one of the big reasons why they lost 5 in a row and struggled offensively was because Pickens got hurt. What happens if Metcalf gets hurt?
Oh, exactly.
You're
I
in the
agree
same
with that.
boat.
Yeah, absolutely. But the question is, to what level do you go here? Are you talking about just somebody, another, Marquez Valdez-Scantling type of player who's maybe not in the game right now but has a history with, either Rodgers or the NFL in general, or do you look to make a bigger move than that, and at what cost at that point? I don't know how many guys are available. I still think Jacoby Myers is in play because of their loss yesterday, especially. If he's available and you can get him for something reasonable, I think I'd make that move.
So would I. I mean, he catches the ball when it's thrown to him. He's got some of the best hands in the NFL. He's a very reliable player. I think that's perfect. I think that's the type of guy that Aaron Rodgers would get along with swimmingly. Is it going to cost you a third-round pick? Fine. You got an extra one from the George Pickens deal, and you're also going to get, some comp picks. We don't know when and where because of how guys have played, and some guys have gotten hurt, but still, that extra picks are coming your way. So that's what I would do. If you can make that trade, I would do that deal. Myers for a third. I mean, I don't know about Waddle. I don't know about Olave. I think it's going to take a lot to pry those guys loose because I don't think the Dolphins or Saints feel like they have to trade either player right now.
Mike in Newcastle is next up. He joins us right here on the hotline. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Pomp. Hi, Pony. How you gentlemen doing tonight?
Good, thank you.
Hey.
Unfortunately, I got some bad news. They're probably going to lose this Sunday only because they only win the games that Ian Eagle and J.J. Watt broadcast. You can look it up. Perfect 4-0 when they broadcast, but when they're not broadcasting, they're 1-3. So I don't know. Maybe T.J. Watt does better when he sees his brother before the game. But also, I really like this Sunday. Aaron Rodgers held in the pocket a little bit and completed passes downfield. I think the last two games he booted out too much and catcher field vision down. That only really works if you have speed and can run for the first down, which he doesn't at this point. I'll hang up.
And I thought, Mike, he was going to take a big hit at the goal line yesterday. He was going to do that, but that's not the play you want to lose him on. I think their offensive line has gotten better. We specifically looked at some of the stuff that was put on social media today by Troy Fontano, who was outstanding. 39 snaps as far as pass protecting, no sacks. He's been really good. Andrew, I think yesterday Broderick Jones had some misplays over there, and that continues to be a work in progress. But, if that gets better and Rodgers doesn't get touched all that much, I still think they can be very effective. But I still think, I agree with you, they need help at that wide receiver slot.
Well, he only threw the ball beyond 10 yards 3 times in the game. And I understand that you were protecting the lead and nursing the lead in the second half, but there still seems to be a reluctance to consistently push the ball downfield. And I think at the beginning of the year, I thought it was, well, their offensive line can't be trusted. I do agree that the offensive line has gotten better. So now I think it's more of a weapons thing. I think it's more about the personnel. I don't think it's an Aaron Rodgers timidness or shyness to throwing downfield. I think we saw it on the Hail Mary. He's still got an arm. So it's not that. I think it's about having guys that have the ability to get open downfield and get open quickly downfield. And I don't think they have enough of those players right now, Bob, and something needs to be done about that.
We got to take a break on that note. It's 412-575-2600. We are live, as always, right here on KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. Back in a flash. Bob Pompeani, Andrew Fillipponi back with you at 412-575-2600. Got a lot of tweets here tonight. This is one of them from Rugger6. He says, before everyone starts on Jari, he made a few nice saves before the 2 periods, but wait for it. The Penguins went back to playing D like last year. Odd man rushes, can't clear the zone, outnumbered in the paint. 4 defensemen on 1 leaf, leaving guys wide open. There was a lot of that. That's what I saw. I saw them revert back to what we saw last year. But Jari did not play well in that 3rd period. That's a time when you want a goalie to make big saves and big things. When your team is falling apart, you need that. He did not provide that. But I think generally they just fell apart completely. And the physicality of Toronto coming out of that 3rd period, I knew it was coming. They couldn't stop it.
Well, and it was so bizarre because the 2nd period might have been their best period of the entire season.
Yeah.
They held Toronto to 3 shots and then come out after a break and to look like they had forgotten how to play hockey and forgotten all kind of the disciplined, structured game that they had played to this point, not only in the game but in the season. I agree with the viewer was a big disappointment.
Yeah. All right. So now we got Pitt playing a noon game against Notre Dame on the 15th. And I guess that's partly because the Steelers play on that same field the very next day, a big game against Cincinnati. But let me ask you about these next 3 games. And I'm going to say if Notre Dame comes here and Pitt beats them as the 10th ranked team in the country, tomorrow we're going to find out where these other rankings are, the championship playoff rankings, and then they beat at Georgia Tech, and then they beat Miami at home. To me, they have to be in the playoff, even if they don't win the ACC. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I don't think they have to be in, but I think they'll be in position to make it. I mean, I think they'll be there. I think they'll be right smack dab in the conversation. I think if they were to win out and then lose the ACC championship game, Bob, I don't think it would be a lock for them to get in with 3 losses at that point, depending on who they played and who they lost to. But it's crazy that 3/4 of the season is over for Pitt, and they're actually still alive to go to the college football playoff after losing to West Virginia back in September. And I know West Virginia beat Houston, but still, they're not a very good football team.
Yeah. It might be better for them because there's so many teams still with 1 loss or no losses like Virginia that they don't get in that playoff and don't lose that if they get a chance. And then who knows, maybe they'll be selected. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how, and I'm glad they have 12 teams. All right, Pony, we're out of time as always. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time tonight.
You bet.
That's going to do it. Andrew Fillipponi and I will be back here tomorrow night taking your calls at 412-575-2600. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll do it again tomorrow right here at 10:35. Good night.